Hi, sweethearts. Do hope you've had a really good day. Tonight we have a different story. It's called, or the book is called, A Treasury of Little Tales for Little Folk. And it's actually stories adapted from the originals by Anne McKie. So there's a few stories in this book, and tonight we're going to read one. The Little Red Hen. Once upon a time there was a little red hen. She lived in a tiny house right at the bottom of a long, bumpy country lane with fields and meadows all around. Now the little red hen worked very hard and was always busy. All day long she cleaned and tidied her little house and worked by herself in the garden. She clipped the hedges and weeded the paths. She grew beautiful flowers and lots of different vegetables. The little red hen loved her garden. Most of all, she liked planting things and watching them grow. On fine warm days, bees and butterflies flew from flower to flower and birds whistled all around her as she worked. Seeds to sow, lawns to mow, the cabbage patch to dig and hoe, and never a moment's rest, the little red hen sang to herself as she scurried from one job to another. Sometimes on warm afternoons, her friends from the farm at the top of the long bumpy lane would come to visit her. Whenever the little red hen saw the cat, the rat and the dog walking up her garden path, she would run inside and put on a clean apron. Then she'd make a big jug of homemade lemonade, fill a large tray with biscuits and slices of ice cake, and carry it out into the garden. While the little red hen was busy in the house, the cat, the rat and the dog would stroll around her garden smelling the flowers. Each of them would then pick a huge bunch of the biggest and best and take home without even asking the little red hen. Then the three friends would swing to and fro on the garden hammock while the little red hen served them lemonade and cake. "We need a rest," sighed the rat. "It's a long walk from the farm and we're all very tired." And with that, the cat, the rat and the dog fell asleep, leaving little red hen to clear up. Look at the mess she has to clear up. Now right beside the little red hen's house was a small field. One spring morning, as she looked out of her window, little red hen had an idea. "I will ask the farmer for a sack of corn and plant my own field. Then I shall have plenty of corn to grind into flour to make bread." As she hurried down the long bumpy lane to find the farmer, the little red hen said to herself, "I will ask my friends, the cat, the rat and the dog, to help me, and together we will soon plant the field." The farmer gladly gave the little red hen a sack of the best corn, and in return she gave him a pot of her raspberry jelly and a basketful of ripe red cherries. As she crossed the farmyard, the little red hen spotted the cat, the rat and the dog. "Will you come and help me plant my field?" she called across to them. "Not I," said the cat. "Not I," said the rat. "Oh, not I," said the dog. And off they scurried. "Then I shall do it myself," said the little red hen, and so she did. So the little red hen set to work. She planted her corn in long straight rows, one grain at a time. It was hard work and very boring. However, the little red hen kept on, and at last she stopped for lunch, but only for 5 minutes. In the afternoon it began to rain, but the little red hen went on planting grain after grain. Very soon she was wet and her feet were covered with brown sticky mud, but she did not stop until the bag of grain was empty. At last the whole field was planted, and the little red hen went inside. In a short while, the corn began to grow. If the little red hen looked really hard, she could just see hundreds of soft green shoots peeping through the soil. Look at them all here. During the next few weeks, the corn grew a bit taller every day. In the long hot days of summer past, the sun ripened and the corn turned it from green to gold. It was time for the little red hen to cut the field. Now who do you think should come visiting but her friends, the cat, the rat and the dog? "Will you help me cut my corn?" asked the little red hen. "I can't," said the cat, and "I can't," said the rat, and "I can't," said the dog, and they scrambled away as quickly as they could. "Then I shall cut it myself," said the little red hen, and so she did. At the end of the day, little red hen was dusty and tired, for all by herself she'd gathered a whole field full of ripe corn. Next day, when the little red hen opened the front door, she saw her friends, the cat, the rat and the dog, passing by. "Will you help push my truck up the hill to the mill?" called the little red hen. "I won't," said the cat. "I won't," said the rat, and "I won't," said the dog. And all three sat down on the grass for a rest. "Then I shall take it myself," said the little red hen, and so she did. So poor little red hen had to push and pull the truck all the way along the long bumpy lane and up the hill to the mill. "Come and sit down," said the miller kindly, and he made her a cup of tea. Rest here a while and I will grind your corn into flour. Feeling very hot and tired, the little red hen sat on a bench and drank her tea. A gentle breeze blew the mill sails round and round and made Little Red Hen feel cool and fresh. In a short while, the huge stone wheels of the mill had ground corn into flour. Then the miller loaded the bags into Little Red Hen's truck to save her the trouble. Going back home was easy for the Little Red Hen. The truck rolled so fast down the hill from the mill, it sped all the way down the long, lone, bumpy lane until it came to a stop right outside Little Red Hen's house, her front door. "Tomorrow," said Little Red Hen, "I shall take some of the flour into town for the baker and make some into loaves of bread." And off she went to bed. Early the next morning, the Little Red Hen loaded some of the bags of flour into a wheelbarrow. As she went out of her gate, her three friends, the cat, the rat and the dog, passed by once more. "Who will help me take flour to the baker?" asked the Little Red Hen. "Not I," said the cat. "Not I," said the rat. And "not I," said the dog. And they strolled off in the opposite direction. "Then I shall do it myself," said the Little Red Hen. And so she did. When she reached the baker was standing outside. "Come in, Little Red Hen," he shouted. "Help yourself to some of my pastries while I bake your flour into bread." So the Little Red Hen went into the baker's shop. She sat behind the counter, nibbled her delicious pastry, and chatted to the customers for a while. The bread was ready at last. The baker took it out of his big brick oven and put all the loaves into the Little Red Hen's wheelbarrow, ready for her to take home. Can you guess who just happened to be standing outside the shop, sniffing the smell of freshly baked bread? It was the cat, the rat and the dog. The Little Red Hen wheeled the barrow full of loaves right up to the three friends. "Now who will help me eat my bread when I get home?" asked the Little Red Hen. "I will," said the cat. "I will," said the rat. "And so will I," cried the dog. "No, you will not," said the Little Red Hen with a smile. "I shall eat it myself." Now the baker's boy laughed. The cat, the rat and the dog went away sulking, and the Little Red Hen turned back down the long bumpy lane and had fresh bread for her tea. The very next day, Little Red Hen packed up her 3 baskets in her finest veggies and flowers from the garden. They were gifts for the farmer, the miller and the baker, who had been so kind and helpful to her. And as for the cat, the rat and the dog, they got nothing, because that is what they deserved. Hope you enjoyed that little story, everyone. Have a good night. Bye.